Welcome to Blasting Through Lockdown. For any of you who don't know, my name is Aimee. So obviously, and quite sadly, due to COVID-19, we cannot physically do Blast this year because of all the social distancing and stuff. But we can do it virtually and online, so here we are. It's a big change for us all, but hopefully you guys will enjoy it all together. Recently, I have made the deep realization that your life is constantly changing. And you're probably sitting there thinking like, well, you mean? Because that's kind of obvious. But when you reflect on the past every once in a while, you see the changes that you or other people have made in your life. Now, there's the really small changes, like your hairstyle or the clothes that you wear, because I am pretty sure that you don't wear the same clothes that you did when you were 5, unless you were a very stylish 5-year-old, I don't know. But there's also the big changes in your life, like changing friend groups can be a big thing, moving to different schools is also quite a big scary thing, and, a global pandemic hitting the world, just to name a few. So yeah, the last few months with COVID-19 really made big changes in our world. We couldn't go places like church or youth club or clothes shopping. We couldn't see people like our friends and a fam. And we couldn't do anything like go to the pool swimming or go see movies in cinema. So we faced quite a lot of changes through lockdown. And I don't know about you guys, but there was this small, teeny, tiny part of me that actually thought that this would be a great time to chill. There was nothing on. I was just going to work. I didn't have to go out anywhere else. I didn't have to see people. I could just have some chill time, and perhaps I could actually cope pretty well with the restrictions and changes that were put in place. But man, was I wrong. And little did we know then that my brain wouldn't cope as well with the restrictions as I first thought. So for those who don't know me, I work in a supermarket, and one of the changes that I faced through the pandemic was having to switch departments for a while. I was put to work more on the main shop floor, which I soon found pretty daunting, considering we had just entered the pandemic, and a lot of people, including myself, were pretty on edge and quite afraid, especially about touching things without gloves and sanitizers. And the changes didn't just stop there, they also continued at home. My entire family was working through the whole pandemic, and my big brother's shifts changed. So he was on night duty, and therefore I was placed onto sole care of his many animals that he has, including his herd of pregnant sheep who just started into lambing season. So I had to help with that. And you may be thinking that these things are pretty small and irrelevant changes, but it is funny how the smallest changes can affect you. These small changes on top of the whole pandemic happening made me feel incredibly worried and anxious, and these feelings built up led me to start taking panic attacks. I was taking them every 3 to 4 nights for a solid month or more through the whole pandemic. And all these things and worries built up these anxious feelings in my life, and I had no need to be anxious or worried. So there are multiple verses in the Bible that I find really useful at this time. Especially I find them useful whenever I was coming out of a panic attack. I would repeat them in my head. And these verses address sort of anxiety and worry. One of the most common ones that people probably have heard is 1 Peter 5 verse 7. Cast all your anxiety on him, for he cares for you. So obviously that's talking about cast all your anxieties upon God, because he cares for you. And the other one that I was looking at was in Matthew chapter 6, 34. Do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. So these verses really helped me through rough patches through lockdown, especially through times when doubt started to creep in. I know there were times when I was sort of starting to doubt my faith a bit. I was like, if I am a Christian, why am I taking these panic attacks? Why am I being so anxious all of a sudden? Obviously, knowing that verse from 1 Peter, I was like, I shouldn't be doing this. I should be relying on God. But obviously I wasn't, and I realised now that that was something that I was struggling with. But I just at the time thought that this isn't something that a Christian should face. Which I now know is really stupid for me to think, because Christians are just normal people. We are like everyone else. We have good days and we have bad days, but it's in those bad times in our life when we need to turn to God for our strength and our help, and not rely on ourselves, because we are so weak in comparison to the strength that God has. It just reminded me that God loves us more than we can understand. He is always, always in control, even if it doesn't feel like it. No matter what circumstance is underway, He is in control. And this is one of the things that I find so amazing about God, is when I say to myself and to you, He always loves us, and He's always in control. He is always the same. So there's this book in the Bible, the book of Malachi, and in this book God is talking to His people through this dude called Malachi, hence the name, to tell His people to change their ways. So this is God talking to the Israelites to change their ways, because they had turned away from God, and He was trying to redirect them back into His ways. And there's a verse in Malachi chapter 3 verse 6, and it says, I, the Lord, do not change. His character doesn't change. He is unchangeable. And no matter who loves you or who hates you, no matter if you sin constantly, like we all do, God will always be there. He will always be kind. He will be forgiving and show mercy when you turn to Him for help and for forgiveness. And this is a reason that I think that some people struggle to understand about a life with God, that in a constantly changing world, there is actually a God whose character is unchangeable. And I guess that's something that we can hold on to as Christians. Like, even when we can't cope, or we just really can't deal with the changes that are happening in the world, we will always have God's unchangeable character that we can trust and rely on, and that He will always be there whenever we turn to Him. Hi, Squish! Hello! Come and say hello. Say hello to everybody. Say hi. Okay, we'll put you down. So yeah, guys, I just wanted to leave that little thought with you through what would have been our Shine Week with Blast. So if there was anything that was worrying you, I would definitely say, first of all, pray. Talk to God about it. He's bigger than any of our problems. Also, it's good to talk, if you need to talk about it, to talk to an older Christian or someone who you trust. So hopefully you enjoy the rest of this week with Blast, and see you later, guys.